Will the MMA Dude, back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 93, here with my brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing, man?
What is up, man? Doing excellent. Happy to be back talking fights with you.
Yeah, we've got a lot on tap today, folks. First, we're jumping into a UFC 258 recap and review. Fun card that we had there. I really enjoyed it. After that, jumping into a UFC Vegas 19 preview and picks. Blades versus Derek Lewis should be very exciting. And then after that, we're moving on to my favorite section of all, listener questions and more. But Fight Geek, I'd like to start off with this opening question for you. So George St. Pierre had 9 consecutive title defenses at welterweight. He went 13-2 in UFC title bouts. And Dana White said that Kamaru Usman will inevitably surpass GSP as the welterweight GOAT. My question to you is simple. Right now, Usman has 3 title defenses. Does he need to get to, 9, such like GSP did, or anywhere close to it, to get past GSP? Or does it, is it a lower number? If so, what is that number? What does GSP have to do? What does Usman have to do to surpass George St. Pierre?
Yeah, it's a tough one because, GSP, I think you look back and a lot of people kind of knock down his strength of schedule at this point. At least that's what it seems like on Twitter. But at the time, that was a murderer's row. So today, obviously, I still think that GSP is clearly the welterweight GOAT, arguably the UFC GOAT. And it's because of, the quantity. Now, the quality of Kamaru Usman is unbelievable. I mean, his last handful of wins, 5-6 wins, are just unbelievable. But in my opinion, he would need to get to probably at least 6 title defenses in the modern era of welterweights to really, be able to hold water in that argument. I mean, there's 2 sides to this. When you're measuring the GOAT, is it the guy who on a single night is the best fighter, or is it the guy who on paper has put together the best resume? Resumes are never going to stack up, like apples to apples. So, 9 title defenses for GSP is a robust resume that very, very few in the history of the sport have ever matched in any era. So you still have to have a certain amount of quantity to stack up to that. With that said, I think Kamaru Usman is, clearly in the discussion as the second best welterweight of all time.
So your answer is 6? You're going on and on. This isn't a presidential debate here.
Yeah, probably there before I would be comfortable having a serious discussion about Kamaru Usman being a better all-time fighter and resume than George St. Pierre. He would need to do quite a bit more, at least, right now, George has done 3 times as much in title fights. That's just too much to overcome.
Yeah. So, second part of this question, Fight Geek. Who would you like to see Kamaru Usman fight next? And I'm leaving the question that simple without any more context. Go.
Well, who would I like to see him fight next? I personally would like to see him fight Colby Covington, just because of the heat.
I think that, I think that's the fight too.
Right, I think that's the fight. If not, I would say Wonder Boy, but I know they're not ever going to make that fight. So
why not? No, you're 100% correct here. I hate saying that. I almost threw up. Right. I actually almost vomited, guys, but wow, that sucked agreeing with you. But why not? Why can't they make Wonder Boy versus Usman? Because, guys, I'll tell you this. That's a great fight. Wonder Boy does not get taken down easily.
The one thing you can say about Tyron Woodley is that during his title reign, he faced, a lot of different styles. He obviously had Maya, then he had, Wonder Boy, then he had Till. So he kind of dealt with multiple styles.
4-time defending champ Woodley was. People will never give him the respect he deserves, but that's another conversation.
Well, I think
that's another conversation.
I clearly think that Usman's title reign at this point is more impressive than Woodley's.
Okay, all right, sure. But why won't they make back to the Wonder Boy
better? But Wonder Boy proves to be a tough puzzle to crack for any fighter. He has the resume behind him. He still has that win over Jorge Masvidal just sitting in his back pocket. So and what that is it's actually a good fight for Kamaru in a lot of ways because A, he can get his 4th title defense versus a well-known commodity in Wonderboy that no one historically will scoff at as a title defense. And then you can get into the Jorge and the Covington rematches. So let me just make it short here. If Usman were to reel off Wonderboy, Jorge Masvidal, and Covington and be sitting at 6 title defenses with all of those names, then you would be really, really sniffing GSP territory, if not surpassing him, based on the fact that the sport has evolved in this era is clearly more talented than the previous era.
Okay, I mean, first of all, whoa. Gilbert, we're going to get to. I'm about to talk about this fight, which was awesome. But Gilbert Burns did great, by the way.
He did very well. He put Kamaru Usman in compromising situations early. And, he forced a champion to make championship adjustments a la Henry Cejudo and Marlon Moraes. And Usman put together a better game plan after getting rocked early and used his jab.
The reason I say that, Fight Geek, is because I think that as long as Burns keeps winning, obviously, that rematch in 2 or 3 fights is something I very much want to see.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, that'll be down the road. But, Kamaru Usman is ready to capitalize on names at this point. And you think of Wonderboy, Masvidal, Covington. Those are 3 prime, elite, contemporary challengers. So, Kamaru Usman has plenty of great fights. I think, Gilbert Burns actually has a lot of interesting fights at 170 for him. You think about throwing him in there with Michael Chiesa or Wonderboy. Either of those fights are very interesting. So,
okay. So I have, and we're about to. I want to jump into UFC 258 right after this. I've got a final part of the question. I lied. It's a 3-parter. Sure. So it's about Masvidal, and I want to be careful here. I certainly don't want to get into politics on this show too much. I'm just wondering.
Politics have nothing to do with why he called him out.
So my question. Oh, there's no doubt. Of course. My question to you is Masvidal the draw that he was a year ago at 251? I have big doubts, but I could be wrong. But I have big doubts for 2 reasons.
Well, here's the thing is, badly. You are correct. He's not as big of a draw as he was last year, but he's still a bigger draw than Wonderboy and Covington.
And you know what? You're right. And by the way, even
if he lost 10% of his fan base or 20% of his fan base, he's still 50% larger fan base than Wonderboy.
Yeah, and the other problem that I was thinking about recently, take me for example. I was a fan and now I hate him, but guess what? I want to see him get his ass.
Well, yeah, now
I want to see him lose.
To that segment, and the thing is
now I want to see him get his ass whooped. So it's just as bad.
I believe that Kamaru Usman feels. Out of all the top contenders, I would imagine that Kamaru Usman feels the most comfortable with it. He will beat Jorge Masvidal fairly easily.
Definitely. It's a guaranteed
Well,
W.
So why wouldn't he pick out the guy with the biggest profile? And he has a built-in storyline with he didn't get a full camp, yada, yada. Jorge was talking about him. They've been barking back and forth forever. So the storyline's there. So now he gets to, double down, have his cake and eat it too, have a big payday with a guy who he's already beaten.
Okay, I have a real argument to that. Just let me play devil's advocate. The one reason I think it may not be wise for Usman is 258. Usman versus Burns was such a great moment for Kamaru. Why? Not only did he win, he overcame adversity in an exciting fight, and he won via striking in a really exciting way. It was an exciting
fight. For sure,
fight.
But don't you think
so he's just going to hold Masvidal against the cage again? That's not going to get more fans on his side.
That's not true. First of all, you're not giving any credence to the fact that he was working with Trevor Whitman this camp. So I don't think the fact that his jab and his striking was looking better than ever is just some random occurrence. I think he's actually improving because he stepped out of his box. He went to Trevor Whitman. He's getting different coaching, elite, top-notch coaching. So I think that we may see new wrinkles to Kamaru Usman moving forward. And I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibilities that he stops Jorge Masvidal fairly easily in the next fight.
Oh, I mean,
Kamaru Usman, he was throwing jabs that were...
Those jabs were missiles.
Well, and then, a lot of people, I saw people criticizing, Gilbert's chin, saying he has a 155-pound chance.
He dropped Usman in the first round. You ever seen any to those guys?
I think if you look,
when was the last time you saw Usman get dropped?
Post-fight, Gilbert Burns, his face was bruised and swollen and cut up. Those were heavy jabs. I mean, that's a powerful dude. I don't think Kamaru Usman does anything soft in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we're by the way, we're formally moving into the UFC 258 recap and review. We're in there.
Okay. We're here.
Yeah, we're right here. So what'd you think of what was your main takeaway of the fight? You've kind of just mentioned some original thoughts, but like what were the original takeaways?
Well, to get started, obviously, I was on the edge of my seat. You know, I loved all the theatrics, the drama. I liked how I feel like Kamaru threw Burns for a loop by not touching gloves. I think that was a last-second psychological trick that kind of worked to his favor.
I agree that was a psychological trick for sure.
Yeah, and I think it worked because I think Gilbert probably expected to touch gloves and have a more harmonious moment, and Kamaru kept it very businesslike. So I like that. It was clear that, you know, I keep wanting to say Herbert. Gilbert is extremely explosive early. He was throwing with confidence. His hands were so fast early. He was hitting Kamaru. And
he looked amazing in that first round. I thought he looked fantastic.
Fantastic. And I thought Kamaru actually looked a little bewildered early on, you know?
Maybe almost as if he had underestimated Gilbert.
I don't know about underestimating a guy you've trained with over 100 times.
Underestimated how aggressive Gilbert would be out of the gate.
I just think, you know, live fire is always different than practice. And when Gilbert Burns is throwing full speed flamethrowers at you, I just think it's different than practice. And he has, you know, when you look at some of his past performances, you know, Burns has very solid hands. He obviously throws really hard. So it was nice to see that, you know, Kamaru was able to weather the storm, kind of get his wits back about him, and then, like I said, implement a game plan. That's what I really feel like separates a lot of the elite fighters. You know, you see guys like, you know, Max Holloway does this, Dustin Poirier does this, that. Once they've been in trouble, once they've had some adversity, they actually are able to regroup and start re-implementing the game plan or adjusting the game plan. And when the elite guys do that, it's very short after that they generally have big success and end the fight. So
it was a huge night for Kamaru. It was a great night for him.
It was a historic night for his legacy.
I know, and sure. Not only was it a historic night for his legacy, which it was, by the way, 100%, but I think it was a historic night for his popularity because he won, he overcame adversity, and he looked exciting while doing it.
That may be true, but the question is, you know, that there may have only been 100 to 150,000 pay-per-view buys. So how many people really saw that live?
Well, look, that's a fair point.
A million people didn't see that fight live.
That's a fair point, but I think that I'm speaking in the long-term sense that Usman is helping to turn around. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. He has a reputation, especially before this fight, as an unexciting fighter. That's starting to be eroded. I don't agree
with that because the Covington.
Well, you don't agree with it because he's starting to change it. That's why you don't agree with it, because he's starting to change that.
Because he's getting better. He's getting more comfortable on his feet. He's grown into his championship form. I mean...
Well, we agree on that, but that's why I don't know why he'd fight Masvidal.
He was a late bloomer.
That's why I don't know why he'd fight Masvidal, where he likely won't want to be...
Why? Because he
won't want to exchange strikes.
Thinks he's going to walk through Masvidal and make the biggest paycheck of his career.
I totally get that. I get that in the short term. Just in the long term, he should be getting exciting finishes. I think it's Covington, too. Go finish Covington again. You know he will.
Yeah, but Covington is getting, you know, borderline. It's annoying that he's not in the picture, that he's only holding out for that fight. I understand he had a very close tie to him. Beat someone.
It's getting annoying that Covington is in the picture, but not Masvidal. Masvidal has done nothing. He's done literally.
I agree.
Okay, sorry, he's promoted QAnon. He's done that, but besides that, he's done nothing.
Well, I mean, he's still going to sell 800,000 pay-per-views minimum.
We'll see. We'll see how many fans he turns off with this polarizing stuff. You know, he said some weird stuff.
You don't think that Kamaru Usman, with how he's looking lately and the kind of damage he's been doing versus, you know, the Scarface character of Masvidal, they'll have that on ESPN Press Row for for the week leading up. It'll be a
But
huge
we saw
event.
that movie before. It's called A Year Ago. We saw
Yeah,
that film. That was a movie that we saw.
Jorge didn't have a full camp.
Oh,
yada,
we both know
yada.
that's not true, man. Dustin Poirier even said they did.
Yeah, well. Anyways,
Okay, all right, let's move on.
it's
Let's
not
move
the
on.
fight I want, but it makes some sense from a business standpoint. For
I
sure.
agree. I have to agree with that. Okay.
So
moving
what's
on.
next for Gilbert Burns, real quick? You
Yeah.
want to see
So
what?
listen, I think that what's next for Gilbert Burns is one of two people. It's either Covington or Wonder Boy.
I say Wonder Boy.
I think Covington is if they make Usman versus Masvidal 2, then make Burns Covington. For sure.
Am I the only one that likes Chiesa versus Covington because they're both bigger wrestler types?
Covington will absolutely annihilate.
Well, let's
Chiesa,
see.
bro. We both
You
know
don't
that.
You don't get to just discredit the
Am I? I
sixth
mean,
ranked
do you
fighter
really
in
think
a
I'm
division
wrong? I just
because
feel
you
like
think so.
you think I'm wrong.
I want to see
you think
it.
You disagree? I feel like there's levels to
the
this.
last time we saw Colby Covington, he had a broken jaw and he was running to the back. I'd like to see how he handles adversity. Yeah, put him in there versus Chiesa.
Hey, you know me. You know I ain't no Colby Covington fan, but
No,
I will
like
give him
Colby, but
credit
what
for
I'm
that
saying is-
amazing fight. That fight was amazing. It was amazing.
It was amazing, but the last we saw of him, he was running to the back with the broken jaw. So his reputation could use a little bit of,
You keep saying the
repairing.
last we saw him like he didn't stop, like he didn't stop Woodley.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, in regards of that title fight, I really am not giving much credence to that Woodley win. I mean, Woodley
Yeah, I can
lost
tell.
15 straight rounds.
You mean,
Anyways,
I mean,
Woodley has lost
15, you mean,
straight rounds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, I
But
get
he was
it.
also the 4-time defending champion, not long ago.
Oh, that feels like eons ago at this point.
Well, that's true.
All
That's
right,
true.
enough of that. Let's keep it moving. That takes us to the co-main, which was a very intriguing fight for me when Macy wasn't throwing jabs 3 feet short. I thought it was exciting.
What was going on with her jabs 3 feet? Like, literally,
I
she was
just think
literally
she's so
throwing
young.
jabs 3 feet away. No, she was literally 3 feet.
Well, I think she was really, clearly had a lot of ring rust. I'm not making excuses for her, but you could see it seemed like she hadn't been in front of live fire in a long time, and she was just really having a hard time. Either that, or she was respecting Alexa Grasso like she was Mike Tyson. It was a little bizarre. I think it hurt her in the long run because the optics were just that she was missing everything and really not threatening. I think you saw Macy once she started to really press the gas down in the third round. You saw the kind of damage she can do. That's kind of her style, that come forward, swinging style. But early on, Alexa stayed, crisp with her footwork and her hands on the outside. And then a lot of that fight took place kind of just stalling out in the clinch. So it was interesting. Great performance by Grasso. Don't think it was that bad of a performance by Macy, but just think she clearly, is rusty.
I think
needs to work herself back into form.
Yeah, I think, look, we're both Macy Barber fans, and I know that a lot of people do not like Macy, and I get it. I totally get it. She's really arrogant.
You don't have to like her.
She
That's
embraces the villain
sport.
role, and that's why I actually think I think that's very interesting, especially you don't see that as much in the women's divisions. You see it, but you don't see it as much, right?
See what? Sorry.
Is that fair to say? I think in the women's divisions, you don't see the embracing of the villain role as much. You see it, of course. It totally exists, but not quite as often.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
the
I think she has a lot going
like
for her.
Macy Barber is like, Macy reminds me almost of Covington in the way she kind of almost seems to relish the hate in kind of a cool, like, I don't have a problem with it.
She certainly has an arrogance to her. A lot of my favorite fighters, like TJ Dillashaw, I mean, he has an arrogance to him, an arrogance to where he thinks he's the best guy in the room, no matter what room he's in. That's just how
Dillashaw
he lives his life.
is a villain as well.
So I mean, I like people who have big, strong personas and self-belief and will, and I think she will have that. I mean, people.
But Macy's got to work on her head movement, Fikey.
Yeah, well,
she's got to work on her head movement.
I mean, she's so young. She's 20. What is she? 22 now.
She looked a little like a bobblehead out there.
Well, yeah, she believes in her power, and it didn't look like she was intimidated by the power of Grasso. So she was eating shots and
she's
just trying to get in there.
Very hittable is the problem. Very hittable.
Yeah, very hittable, very young, very raw. I think she's still an elite prospect. 2 wins isn't the end of her. It was still an exciting fight. Or yeah, 2 losses, excuse me. But what does it do for Grasso? Did it unlock any potential in your mind, or is she still who you thought she was, or what?
See, to me that's the $1,000,000 question. What did it do for Grasso? I don't know if that's an easy question. Women's flyweights weird right now.
Alexa Grasso was a great boxer and had great potential before she fought her.
Yeah,
so.
No, she looked great, by the way. So I think, okay, like a fight I'd like to see. I'd like to see Alexa Grasso versus. She's right now. It looks like she's ranked number 10, I believe. So let's see her fight Cynthia Calvillo, number 5.
Wow, that's a big step.
Or number 6, Joanne Calderwood.
I liked Calderwood a little better. I think that's a fun fight that can be contested on the feet.
Well, that's a better matchup for Grasso. It's all about what are we doing with her? Are we trying to test her in the hardest way? Are we trying to get her good matchups?
Well, I mean, at this point, if she's getting the JoJo Calderwoods of the division, that's about as much of a test as you can get before a title shot.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I mean, I think either of those works perfect for her, and it's a push at this point. JoJo Calderwood's pretty skilled striker herself, but
definitely.
We would, I think Grasso's going to break into that top part of the division and be a player for a very, very long time.
She's the number 10 contender now. And by the way, number 9, Roxanne Modafferi, number 8, Jessica Ai. Don't even dislike either of those.
Yeah, it all makes sense for her. Actually, Jessica Ai would be the best one because Ai likes to box and she's a boxer. That'd be a good back and forth striking match.
By the way, random shout out to women's flyweight. I've been waiting for you to get good, women's flyweight division. You've been a disappointment, but guess what? You're hitting it. You're hitting your stride. You're finally getting it, and now the division's exciting. So
yeah,
I like
Andrade in the division makes it interesting.
Oh, Andrade helped it so much. She helped it so much.
Yeah, so yeah, for sure. That division definitely got a shot of life. So what else happened on that
So
card?
Kelvin Gastelum got a unanimous decision over Ian Heinisch. I was real happy for him. I'm not going to lie, bro. I was very nervous for Kelvin. Because
well, you picked Heinisch last week.
I know. I did terrible on this card.
I
picked Heinisch. I think I picked.
That was
one of
the better Kelvin Gastelum performances all the way around. Obviously, he showed the wrestling which he's had from the start that he rarely uses, and then he's always been tricky on the feet. He's a good striker.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the one thing I don't think Kelvin is universally respected for is that he is just knock down, drag out tough. That is a tough dude. He can take a lot of damage, and he's in there till the end. So I think that really bodes well for Gastelum. I think he may be one of the toughest guys in the division.
Yeah, he's just got to work on. He's just got to work on his BJJ defense, right? I mean, to me, that's a big hole. And
he's a guy who has such, he has no neck, and he's all, short, and he's probably not used to getting subbed in practice. So he probably feels super confident in those situations.
Yeah. I think once he can get his BJJ defense settled down.
Didn't they say he's a 10th planet black belt?
Yeah, look, I mean.
So technically, Kelvin Gastelum he has the same black belt as Tony Ferguson.
Israel Adesanya, wasn't he recently given a blue belt and said he didn't deserve it? I mean, these things are a little wacky.
Right. All right. So, yeah, I thought that fight was excellent for Kelvin. I thought that you saw Ian Heinisch step up, out of his depth for the first time, and Kelvin just showed him that there's one more step to that elite level.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we got to keep it moving because we actually do have a lot of listener questions, and we've got that UFC Vegas 19 preview and picks to do. But I wanted to ask you about. We're going to get to Julian Marquez and Mackie.
Oh, gosh.
We'll get to that in the questions. He had it's such a shame. People forget this already. But guys, as a reminder, Julian Marquez actually had a good win to start off the weekend. He had a submission.
Well, Mackie Pitolo is probably the funnest fighter that loses every time. It's, you know what I mean? Like, he's a fun guy to watch. He's in
Don't
there.
worry, no one's gonna remember that Mackie Pitolo lost after this weekend because all anyone can think of is Julian Marquez is a loser. But we'll get to that later in the question.
Yeah, so I mean that was a fun fight. back
We'll get
and
to the
forth.
Miley Cyrus incident later.
Bilal Muhammad had a big
Let's talk
win.
about that. Let's talk about Bilal. I thought that was the best Bilal Muhammad's arguably ever looked.
No, 100%. Bilal Muhammad is a guy who has been around for a long time now. He's continued to improve, and you're really seeing him round into shape. He's a well-rounded, all-around fighter. Doesn't necessarily do one thing exceptional, but does a lot of things good. And yeah,
Random
I think
fact,
Bilal's,
I sat next to him at PFL 2, the first ever one.
you never mention that, just every fourth episode.
All right. Wow. Chill.
But
Feige
not to
coming
be-
out with the claws.
Not to be outdone, I think one of the biggest surprises, actually definitely the biggest surprise, was Rodolfo Vieira getting subbed by Fluffy.
Oh, yeah. That was quite the upset.
That was crazy,
So let's talk about that really quick.
Vieira was up big early, and it looked
Oh,
like
yeah,
he
Vieira was
gonna win.
dominating.
And then clearly, he just completely ran out of gas, and you could just see that tide shifting, and then he just started eating enormous shots on the feet. He was just getting lit up like a Pez dispenser. So
Okay, not to jump. I know we're jumping a little bit crazily here between fights, but just back to Bilal Muhammad for 1 second.
Bilal Muhammad.
Who's next? Who's next for Bilal Muhammad, Fight Geek? Because he called out, I was fascinated by his call. He called out the Leech.
Ooh, that's a great fight.
You know what's shocking, though? So Bilal's 13, the Leech is 12. He said 13 versus 12. Makes sense. Let's go. Which is cool. But I just kept thinking, wow, Bilal's got some serious cojones. Because if I'm Bilal Muhammad and I'm 13 and I see the Leech at 12, you know who I'm calling out? Anyone but the Leech. Anyone but the Leech.
Difficult guy with a small name, but
that is like the combination of small name, hard matchup. Small name, hard matchup.
Big risk, low reward.
Yup, exactly. But hey, I respect it.
Stylistically, that could be a lot of fun.
I'd love that fight. Who would you have in that? I would love it. You know what? That's such a good fight. You could fight night headline that.
I could see Bilal getting a split decision or.
Could you make that a fight night headliner? Could you make that a fight night headliner?
No.
Really?
No.
I'm enough of a dweeb to like that one.
I don't think Muhammad versus Lee
Muhammad versus
Leech
Lee
will sell. But no, it's definitely a good, second or third from the top card or fight.
Oh, definitely a co-main at least.
Yeah, for sure. So,
all right. We got to keep it moving. We're on track to become one of our longest episodes ever. What do we?
Ricky Simone, come on, give him some love.
Ricky Simone. He looked good. He looked good against Boom Boom Kelleher. Look, this was one of my. I'm not gonna lie, guys. This was one of my worst fight nights ever in terms of picks. I got everything wrong. I got this one wrong too.
Yeah, well, Ricky Simone, 18-3, one of the most slept on in that division. I think people still identify with him because of the Faber loss.
The Faber loss, yeah, exactly.
He's a big, strong wrestler who's learning how to strike. He's got unbelievable pace and pressure. Going to be a problem for a long time. Certainly a top 10 talent.
At featherweight? Because, that bout, obviously featherweight bout.
Yeah, well, he was talking about featherweight. I mean, when I'm speaking to his top 10 talent, I'm envisioning 135. But he didn't look out of his depth, at featherweight. But I think against some of the top 10 guys, he would definitely have some issues.
That's why I wanted to clarify.
So he's more
top
of a top
10 featherweight
bantamweight,
is
in my opinion,
Shark
but he's
Tank.
still serviceable as a featherweight.
I mean, truth is, let's be honest. Bantamweight, featherweight, they're both pretty stacked top 10s.
No, 100%. I just mean as far as where he would have the most advantages.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, so are we ready to move on to our UFC Vegas 19 preview and picks?
Let's do it.
All right. Here we go. UFC Vegas 19, Blades versus Lewis. Very fun main event. The card itself leaves.
Is it though? I'm going to pose a question to you. Is the main event fun, or is Curtis Blades going to take down Derek Lewis and hold him there the whole fight?
I'm not. I'll answer that.
Does that sound fun to you? Because Derek Lewis, not to poop on this fight, because I like this fight.
Are you going to let me answer the question, Fight Geek?
Oh, fine. Go ahead.
All right. I think the answer is yes. The fight is fun because I know that a lot. Okay, for example, I know a lot of people criticized Lewis versus Olenek before it happened. They said Olenek is going to sub this guy. And then what happened? Lewis knocked him out. So after...
Yeah, I think Olenek and Curtis Blades are two different animals at this point, though. Curtis Blades...
But Lewis has extremely, extremely underrated ground game defense.
Does he, or does he just sit on his back and...
Wait, what do you mean, does he? What do you mean? Did you see him against Olenek?
No, I understand. But I'm saying when he has, if Curtis Blades is in side control on top of him, you think he's going to get up, or do you think he's just going to cross his legs and ride it out because of how strong and tough he is?
I think that it's interesting you say this. I think, man, this could really bite me in the butt later.
Clearly, Derek Lewis can knock out Blades if he catches him with a big shot. But I think Curtis Blades, who is very outspoken about the fact that he's not going to stop wrestling guys.
Well, every time you shoot in, you can get badly knocked out. So it's always, if Lewis reads that.
That's true.
If Lewis reads that.
But I would say that Curtis Blades
trouble.
is a different type of athlete than Olenek. I think he'll probably be a little more explosive. He's clearly much taller.
So, he's 14-2, and those 2 losses are Francis Ngannou, so he's no joke.
Yeah, no, for sure. Curtis Blades is an elite heavyweight. There's no question about it. So is Derek Lewis. I just think that Curtis Blades is the more strategic heavyweight, and I have a feeling he's going to spend a lot of this fight in top position, and both of these guys have shown a propensity to get super winded. So after the second round, third, fourth, and fifth, if we get there, it could be a very slow-moving grappling match in areas.
Yeah, I completely agree with you that Blades is the more strategic fighter. I mean, I would
sound like
a fool saying
ground and pound, fourth round, or third round.
Third round. Okay.
Third round TKO, ground and pound.
Well, unfortunately, I have Blades by third round TKO as well. That's very annoying.
Which would be extremely...
But guys, listen, Lewis has a chance. No, I disagree with you, Fight Geek, that you're making it sound like this is a given. Lewis has no chance. That's not true.
I'm not saying that at all. Lewis has the same kind of chances he had against Volkov. If you stay standing with that guy and you let him swing on you for 15 to 25 minutes, one of them can hurt you badly. But I think that Curtis Blades knows that, especially considering his only 2 losses were flukish, knockouts. He's going to be on his P's and Q's with Derek Lewis.
They weren't exactly fluky.
I'm not saying
Ngannou
flukish,
does that.
But freakish.
Freakish.
I think the one, wasn't it stopped because his eye was messed up?
The first Ngannou Blades fight was stopped by the doctor, yes, but the second was
second
stopped by
Ngannou's
Ngannou's
just
fist.
kind of clumsily coming together. It wasn't like he was outclassed or anything. It was just Francis Ngannou's just bigger and stronger and super explosive. So Curtis Blades, I think, is going to be the guy who knows more than anyone that if he plays with fire, it can burn him. With that being said, he's going to get that fight to the mat.
Yeah. Look, I agree that Blades is going to get it to the mat. Ultimately, I agree with you that Blades is going to win, but let's not count out Derek Lewis. And guys, I would honestly
definitely not count.
I'd be a little careful on betting on this one because Derek Lewis is a sneaky guy. I think he's sneaky.
He is sneaky. And we've already established Blades has been stopped twice. So
and I want to be
very
careful equating this to me, because obviously I'm not an MMA fighter in the least bit, but I am a Muay Thai and BJJ fighter. I'm not good at BJJ. I'm a decent Muay Thai fighter. I'm not good at BJJ, right? But the one thing that I can add to this, the little 2 cents, is I know for a fact that people can very, very much get a lot better at offense than defense, or a lot better at defense than offense in BJJ. Derek Lewis has gotten very elite as a defensive jiu-jitsu fighter. But not an offensive one.
But we're not
defensively,
talking about
he's
BJJ.
very elite.
What are you talking about? Curtis Blades isn't a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's a wrestler. Derek Lewis's BJJ defense is irrelevant with Curtis Blades, in my opinion.
We'll see. We'll see about
Curtis Blades is going to get on top of you and try to split your forehead open. That's not Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess I mean ground fighting in general, because I think Derek's pretty good at that as well.
Defensive wrestling and Brazilian jiu-jitsu are 2 different things.
You're right. Well, I think Derek Lewis has good defensive wrestling as well.
Well, he probably has much better defensive wrestling than jiu-jitsu, so yes, I would agree with you. But Curtis Blades has much better grappling and wrestling than Derek Lewis has.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that's the strength. All right, we're all over the place tonight. Let's keep it moving.
Chill
Caitlin
out.
Vieira versus Yana Kunitskaya in co-main that I can't wait for. Who do you got?
My heart says Yana, but my brain says Caitlin Vieira.
Yep, going Caitlin Vieira via sub here. We'll keep it moving. Charles Rosa versus Derek Minner.
This is an interesting one. Because Charles Rosa is a lightweight, but he's fighting this at featherweight. Minner is the featherweight. He's used to this. I've got Minner winning this one.
Yeah, I like Minner here, but like you said, I think the lightweight Charles Rosa is just going to be a little too much for Minner. I'm taking Rosa.
All right, we got Alexei Olenek. I was just talking about him versus Chris Daukaus.
Yeah, definitely taking the upset here. Been really impressed with Chris Daukaus, and he's kind of sneaky good with the hands, very accurate. I think he's going to light Alexei Olenek up on the feet. I think it'll be a coming out party for Chris Daukaus.
Interesting. I disagree with you. I don't feel good about it. It's a hard pick. It's a very hard pick. I was tempted to agree, but I think that Alexei is pissed. I think that he is going to want to win, and I think he's sneaky tough. We all know. We know how tough he is.
He's got 74 decisions on his record. He's not sneaky tough. He's just damn tough.
I think he's going to edge out another one. Another decision win by Alexei.
I think Father Time is catching up to him, and like I said, I've been really impressed with Daukaus. So that'll be one that we can.
Okay, the final main card fight: Nasruddin Imavov versus Phil Hawes. Wow, this card is a little bit lacking in big names.
For sure, but this should be fun. I'm taking Phil Hawes coming off an explosive knockout in his last fight, I believe. Taking Phil Hawes here.
I agree. I think Hawes is special. I think that what we've seen from him, especially at UFC 254 in his last fight against Jacob Malkoun was extremely impressive. It was that 18-second round number 1 victory via punches, and I have him get with another round 1 stoppage.
Nice. And then Andrei Arlovsky versus Tom Aspinall is another good one. I'm taking Aspinall via stoppage here. What do you got?
I got Aspinall via decision. I think that the one thing people underestimate is that Arlovsky's pretty good at hanging tough, at least lately. But
this is going to be his 50th MMA fight, so.
Yeah, but I do think that Arlovsky loses. Yeah.
For sure. Okay, Jared Gordon versus Danny Chavez. Who do you got?
I absolutely got Jared Gordon in this one, 100%.
Same, taking Jared Gordon, but the next
Hold
fight
on,
really
are we going all the way down the card here? I don't know if people care enough. I don't know if people really want to hear the whole card breakdown.
Take a breather. Drakkar Klose versus Luis Pena. That's an interesting fight.
All right. That is an interesting fight. You know what? I guess I got Pena, but I never trust him.
Nice. I'm taking Drakkar Klose here. I think Pena has shown, obviously, that he has a lot of good potential. He's good at controlling. He lacks finishing ability, and I think Klose is more of a in-your-face finishing style fighter, and I think he's going to put it on Luis Pena in this matchup.
Yeah.
I still want to go. I want to talk about Julian Erosa versus Nate Landwehr. That's going to be a war on the feet.
Wow, now that I kind of look, I guess this card's really not quite as bad as I thought.
Oh, if you're a fight fan, there's going to be.
But you know why I thought that? It's because the co-main is so weird.
Yeah, I mean the Wineland fight, the Close Pena fight could be the co-main in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Wow, this is actually a. Okay.
So Julian Erosa versus Nate Landwehr. You got any thoughts? I think this is going to be a banger.
Yeah, I think it's a great fight. I got Nate Landwehr here.
I got Nate Landwehr as well by KO.
Yeah.
And then the last one I'll call out is going to be Chaz Skelly versus Jamal Emmers.
Ooh, another interesting little banger here. Give me, you know what, Chaz Skelly.
Yep, I was actually leaning Chaz Skelly also. but not one I would feel confident putting my money on either way, honestly.
What an interesting and weirdly designed card. It's like it didn't really...
Well, I guarantee you that on fight night, this will not be the bout order. It seems like Tapology the week of the fight never has the bouts in order.
Okay. Well, that's
so
fair.
God only knows what the co-main actually is this week.
You really don't think... They don't change that often, do they?
I mean,
they change.
Yeah,
they change.
The bout orders change quite a bit.
That's
I do
true.
my homework, on Sunday nights, and the bout order's never the same as when the UFC announced it on fight day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that wraps it up. It's a sneaky good card.
It is a sneaky good card, and even I didn't even know that going into this recording. So it is. All right. So guys, we'll be right back with listener questions and more right after this. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode 93, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek, and it is now time for my favorite section of all, the Listener Questions!
All right, let's get into them. We got a bunch of good ones.
Yeah, we do. This was seriously, guys. Like these were some of the best of the last few months. Great job. All right, first question from Eduardo at Landa Crew. Love this guy. He says, if you were Charles Oliveira, would you hold out for a title shot or accept any fight that the UFC offers you? Also, at what point can a fighter hold out for a title shot? 9, 10, 11, or 12 fights? After a win, or at a 9, 10, 11, or 12 fight win streak. Hashtag AskSplitPod.
Well, if I were Charles Oliveira, it would really depend on what my options were. I don't think he's going to get the title fight next, so waiting out may actually be detrimental to him. And so it depends on the names that are floating around.
I agree. I think it's a complicated.
If he has Justin Gaethje on the table, you fight Justin Gaethje. If you have, someone like that. Do you
fight Michael Chandler? I think no.
I don't think so. I don't think you take that risk.
Exactly. That's all risk, no reward.
Outside of Justin Gaethje, you can wait, but that's a tough one. And then at what point can a fighter hold out for a title shot? It really just depends on the individual case.
And it sounds like, by the way, Dana is going forward with trying to make McGregor Poirier 3, and he already said that it would not be for a belt, not for the belt.
Which is also strange. I mean, they really don't want Khabib to lose his belt. It's gotten
there's
no uniformity
weird
with Dana in that.
Isn't it weird? Strange. It's gotten very strange.
But I would say, once a fighter's gotten to 7 wins in a row, I'm not saying they should necessarily sit out, but once you're at 7 wins in a row, your spot is solidified. I think we've seen it. Well,
I'm guessing he was referring to. I'm guessing that was a Leon Edwards reference.
Well, I mean,
maybe not.
Tony Ferguson was on a 12-fight winning streak.
Yep, 12-fight winning streak.
Technically fought for the belt.
Yep.
So.
But of course, that's come to an end. Right. Is the only. But I think maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was anticipating that as what do you think should be next for Leon Edwards? That's how I took the question.
Leon Edwards? This has nothing to do with Leon Edwards, but
Leon Edwards has a very long winning streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, so does Charles Oliveira, the guy who he's asking about.
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira's on like an 8-fight winning streak.
He's on a similar one.
Yeah, so, okay. I don't know. I'm not thinking about Leon Edwards right now. I was thinking about Charles Oliveira, but...
I thought he was asking about both. But yes, of course. Charles was the original person he was asking about, and he's on the exact same similar win streak. 1, 2,
so
3,
sure,
4,
go ahead.
5,
Tell
6,
us
7,
what you
8.
think of Leon Edwards. What do you want for him?
What do I want for Leon or for Charles?
I don't know. You've butchered this question.
Just
Let's
chill
keep it
out.
moving. You got a new one?
Let me ask. You need to chill out. Chew some gum or something. Leon Edwards. Okay, what I want for
now
Leon.
you're asking questions about things that the guy didn't ask.
What I want for Leon Edwards is Wonder Boy. That's
sorry, Eduardo.
You just asked me what I wanted for him. Now let's go to Charles Oliveira, who the question was about. Okay, I think that Charles Oliveira should fight Justin Gaethje.
Yes, that makes sense to me for sure.
Okay, all right.
And also, at what point can a fighter hold out for a title shot, a.k.a. Leon Edwards, in your opinion?
I think that, yeah, look, so Leon, I believe, is at an 8-fight win streak, and I think Charles is at an 8-fight win streak as well, I think. And it's interesting that Eduardo said 9, 10, 11, or 12-fight win streak because I agree with you, Eduardo. I think that they're not quite there yet, even though they're painfully close. I think you need to get to 10 or 11 to really force the shot.
I think it's all circumstantial. You can't. You're like, if I get to a 12-fight win streak,
well, of course it's circumstantial.
Yeah, I mean,
of course it is.
If you've done enough after 6, 7, 8, 9, I mean, once you're on a 5+ fight winning
of course,
streak
that goes without saying.
UFC.
I meant that goes without saying.
But it's not like got it on your calendar. Once I get to my 9th fight in a row, I'm going to sit out until I get a title shot. I don't see it like that. It really depends on.
Well, that never works, of course.
Yeah, of course. And technically, guys sitting out doesn't generally work for them either, which is why I think it might be a little dangerous for Charles Oliveira, who's very hot at the moment, to sit out and wait for some pie-in-the-sky title that may never come. Well, his prime, I don't want to say prime years because he's still young, but he's clearly in his prime right now. He could be maximizing it.
Yeah, so, I hear you. But he does have, but I also agree with him being, he's got to be careful, right? I think taking, for example, we know that he turned down a very last-minute co-main event for UFC 258 against Michael Chandler, and frankly, I agree with it.
Why would he, on an 8-fight winning streak or whatever, take on a debuting fighter on short notice?
Well, not debuting. No, he's 1-0 now.
Yeah. If they say, do you want to fight Justin Gaethje in a main event on a fight night for a #1 contender match, then that's a fight you entertain.
Right. No, I agree.
All right, let's go. All right, we got one from Cyrus Kong. Excuse me. You think I know his name by now. He's only been asking questions for 2 years.
Cyrus King. I love Cyrus. What up?
What's up, man? He says, Colby turned down the fight with Leon Edwards. Should Colby now be demoted to the back of the line behind Edwards, Masvidal, and Burns? ? What do you say?
I mean, sorry, can you repeat it one more time? You cut out, man. I have to be honest.
Should Colby be demoted to the back of the line for turning down the Edwards fight behind Edwards, Masvidal, and Burns? So should he go back and have to fight in line, or should he still be, next in line for Kamaru, even though he turned down the Leon Edwards fight?
Look, you guys.
I personally don't think so. Turning down the Edwards fight matters.
I don't even like Colby, and I don't think he should be punished for it. I really don't. I think that Colby has, unlike Jorge Masvidal, Colby has stayed relatively active, at least relatively, after his title fight loss. Can't say the same for Masvidal, of course. That's why I think the Masvidal rematch is so ridiculous. Is Colby turning down Leon Edwards ridiculous? No, I don't think it is. 2 fights ago, Leon Edwards won a split decision against Gunnar Nelson. I don't think Gunnar Nelson is even a person that exists on the earth anymore.
Yeah, I just don't think Colby should be penalized for turning down the Leon Edwards fight, especially on somewhat short notice, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And look.
So anyways, no, I think Colby is kind of right to turn down that Edwards fight at this point. As bizarre as it sounds, I think Colby's right there. He's the true #1.
Yeah.
I think he, wants to feel like he's calling the shots to a certain extent in his next matchup, and him just being handed, a dangerous guy with not much upside is probably just not what he's looking to do right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I've got a great fire question from our man, Jacob Powers. That's at Jacob Powers 2. He says, #AskSplitPod. In terms of championship reign, how would you guys rank GSP, Usman, Woodley, Lawler, and Hendricks among each other? Let me really quickly go first.
Well, there's only one right answer, so
obviously you got to go GSP first. You got to go You got to go Usman too. I will say that over Woodley, even though I love Woodley, I'm a Woodley fan over an Usman. That's why I didn't like Usman originally.
So what are we going off of here? Who we think would beat who, or who has the best resumes?
I think we're going off of no. I think we're going off of who has the best resumes, and I'm saying Usman has a better resume than Woodley, despite it being 3 defenses to 4. Yeah, I am saying that.
Yeah, but I mean, Robbie Lawler, arguably on paper, has a better title run than Tyron Woodley doesn't.
No way. Now that's nuts.
Carlos Condit, Robbie Lawler, or Carlos Condit and Rory McDonald. I mean, those are good ones. Johnny Hendricks.
Yeah. I just think that when you think of title defenses, you've got to treat Hendricks a little different. Is that not fair?
I mean, Hendricks is
what do you mean, why is that? Because he doesn't have as many title defenses. That's why.
For sure. So I would put it in order. I would go GSP, Usman, Lawler, Woodley, Hendricks.
Oh, see, I think that is so bad you would put Lawler over Woodley, huh?
In totality, yes, I would.
Wait,
Robbie Lawler, didn't Robbie Lawler have the fight of the year like twice as the champion?
Yeah, but look, Robbie Lawler's a great guy. He was a great fighter. He is a great fighter. I want to be careful.
Jake Ellenberger.
But he had a lot of close title fights. Many people think he lost some of his title fights that he won.
Who are these people?
Okay, wait.
I know people think that he lost maybe the
Condit fight. The Condit fight.
But I don't care what people say because the fight is a victory in history and it's a title defense. So they can think and say whatever they want.
Well, what about some people say lost the Johnny Hendricks fight too at UFC 181?
Yeah, but that fight was razor close too.
That's what I'm saying. So that's where I think that it hurts him a little more than it hurts Woodley.
But I mean, if you look at, Jake Ellenberger, Matt Brown, Johnny Hendricks, Rory McDonald, Carlos Condit. Even before that, it was Rory McDonald, Josh Koscheck, and then obviously the Hendricks close decision. I think Robbie Lawler's at his peak as he ascended to a champion is arguably better than Tyron Woodley. Let's look at it.
All right, look, it's fine. We disagree on that. We're going to disagree on that. But, yeah.
And Tyron Woodley technically retained his title with a draw.
Man, so what? You got to
that's not a clear-cut victory.
Listen, no. Okay, so you're saying that's not a title defense? Yes, it is. You've got to beat the champ.
It's actually not a title defense.
Come on. That's one of your worst takes I've ever heard. Fight
what?
Geek. That a draw isn't a title defense. That's nuts.
I'm looking at the official ruling, and it's not a title defense.
What do you mean it's not the official? Oh, really? So who left with the belt? Did he retain? Retain?
That's called retaining it, not defending it.
Retaining the belt is defending the belt.
No, it's not. They're two different terms.
We totally disagree. Oh my gosh, I'm getting really mad.
If you were to look at right now, Woodley's record, it's only 3 title defenses, correct?
No, it's 4. You're wrong. Well, because of the Stephen Thompson thing that you're talking about, right? I don't know
if that technically counts as a defense. Maybe it does.
Was Wonder Boy the champion? No.
But I mean, even if you look at Tyron
I can't believe you're saying he doesn't have 4 title defenses. I've never even heard that.
Maybe he does. I'm reading right now. It says it's retained the welterweight, and all the other ones say defended. So I'm not sure if there's a difference in the distinction or not. We'll say 4. Because
4. 100% it's 4.
But if you honestly break down the Maya and the Till defenses, they're not historically that great, especially when you consider.
What about the Till one? He got a sub. He subbed and finished it.
What about Robbie Lawler fighting back Condit and Rory McDonald in 2 of the greatest fights of all?
All right. People are getting bored. We could argue this all night.
Anyways, yeah. Sorry, okay. This is like our phone calls, not the podcast. Sorry, guys. All right.
Next one up, Sparks, F1, Paul O'Kelly. He says, I know questions should be directed towards you both, but this one is just for Phil. From Marquez making an interesting and unfortunate play on getting a date, what is the biggest screw-up in that department that you have made, Phil? I remind you, you said you would be answering all questions. This is the best. This might be the best one I've ever got.
Let's hear it.
This might be the best question that I've ever received certainly from Paul. This is the best question I think maybe we've ever gotten. Wow, do I really have to? This is messed up. Oh man, there's two, but I'll tell the better one, I think. All right, I'll tell the better one really fast. Long story short, relatively early in college, there was a very beautiful girl that I had a big crush on. A lot of people, I was in a frat, a lot of people had a crush on her, whatever. Long story short, we all hung out, or whatever, went to a party that night, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I somehow get very lucky, very, very lucky, and she invites me back to her dorm room. Now, I will remind everyone that dorm rooms are very small and they're very crammed with things, right? So it's like kind of like I'm like a bull in a china shop. I'd been like drinking a little bit. I wasn't wasted, but I was definitely a little tipsy. There's all of these. It's just very compact, and so we're about to start hooking up or whatever. And before the intimate moment can occur, what do? But I clumsily knock the side of her table, and there's a glass of water, knocks over all over her laptop. The laptop is destroyed, gone, over. She asked me to leave.
Did you have to pay for it?
She asked me to, nope, she didn't ask me to pay for it. She asked me to leave. I immediately apologized, left, started crying after I was out of her sight, and was significantly depressed for a good 2 weeks.
Sorry to hear that, buddy.
How brutal is that?
Probably was not very fun in person, I could tell you that. So she was just kind of like, you broke my computer, like, we're just going to let bygones be bygones, can you just leave?
I mean, like, it was literally before an intimate moment, and I broke her laptop by accident. It was so awkward. It was the most awkward thing in the world.
The real question is did you ever throw out any feelers via text ever again?
Absolutely not.
Oh.
Are you kidding? I saw her walking down the street one time. I turned around and started running the other way.
You were just afraid she was going to ask you to pay for that computer.
Probably. I'm cheap. You know that.
All right. Well, that's a good one.
Okay. Right. Thanks for the question, Paul. That was fun. All right. So what we got here? What's next? Oh, okay. Pat Tobin. Have we answered his question?
No.
Okay. At Pat_Tobin. Who would Wonderboy have to be to put himself back in the title picture? Although a potentially strategic fight and potentially not that exciting is the most intriguing matchup for Usman left at welterweight, ? Hold on. I don't really understand the last part of that, Pat. Although a potentially strategic fight is the most
potentially not that exciting. So a fight with Wonderboy could not be that exciting potentially. Is he still the most intriguing matchup?
Oh, he's saying that Wonderboy Usman potentially isn't exciting?
Yeah, just because Wonderboy sometimes has a style that's not always super exciting. But I still think Colby Covington is the most intriguing matchup for Usman based on what we know.
I agree with that, and then I would also just really respectfully, I'd push back a little bit on that one, Pat, and I would say that while Colby is the most exciting fight to make right now, the second most exciting is Wonderboy, because people have a misconception on Wonderboy. They think, he's a striker, so he'll be easy to keep on the ground. No, that's not true. Even Woodley in his prime had a ton of trouble keeping Wonderboy on the ground, even for a few seconds. So I think that could be potentially a really interesting fight.
For sure. I agree there. So, did you ask Jalen Ware's question?
Oh, no, I haven't. Love Jalen Ware. What up? Guys, give Jalen a follow.
He says, I know Usman called out Masvidal next, but Masvidal's activity avoiding Colby and Lee hurt his stock and made his BMF irrelevant. Hashtag #AskSplitPod. Do you think Masvidal's activity and avoiding Colby and Leon have hurt his stock and made his BMF title irrelevant?
I don't think it's made it irrelevant. I think a lot of things have drastically hurt Masvidal's stock in the last year.
Yeah, I think it's all part of that, but I think the inactivity hurts too,
Definitely.
Out of sight, out of mind.
That's the biggest thing that hurts him. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, well, we've seen so many great performances. I mean, you can think back over the last 6 months, and so many people come to mind who you're excited to see again, and Masvidal's just not necessarily in that mix right now. So it's just good to be in the mix and to be fighting regularly and kind of, in schedule. Because otherwise, you sit out for 18 months or whatever, and we don't really know where you stand. His last victory is over Nate Diaz, which really doesn't hold much water at 170, and now he's going to get a title fight. So just bizarre.
I totally agree. And then, I'm just trying to think of if he's a big draw for casuals, and part of me is thinking, okay, so you tell your friend, hey, they're doing Usman versus Masvidal too, and they go, oh yeah, Masvidal, I know that name. Won't they think, Fight Geek, won't they think back to that first fight and think that was really boring, and Usman held him against the fence, and why would I want, I don't know. Am I wrong? Why would they think it goes different?
Yeah, I don't think people will see it like that. I don't think it was that boring of a fight. I don't think Jorge was at his best, but I don't think it was that boring, was it? I thought there was some hectic back and forth.
No, I mean Jorge did. I actually think Jorge, in terms of performance for what he's capable of, did just fine. I don't think he.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I don't think he froze in there. I just think he can't. He's got nothing for. Come on.
Well, I don't think his cardio was at his normal level. I think he's shown to be a plus cardio guy, and he was really struggling in that fight.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me that was the best version of Jorge Masvidal that night. I don't believe that.
Yeah. I think that's fair, but I mean, at the same time, man, we know he was training. If you remember, there was intense negotiations between Usman and Masvidal's camp before they eventually called Masvidal's bluff and then gave it to Burns. Then we know what happened. But even Dustin Poirier said they'd been training.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we got to get through this. We're on an hour and a half. I got one from
We're at 106. Calm down.
What'd you say?
We're at 106.
Okay. Well, anyways.
We're good.
I've got one here from Eric Buchert. He says,
what's up?
Usman versus Masvidal 2 seems like the fight to make, but would you want to see that tied to coaching the new season of Tough? The UFC could use it to hype the fight, but do you think Usman could use it to build his popularity and star power? Also, Buchert is pronounced Boo Kurt. Hashtag AskSplitPod. Thanks for clarifying that from last week.
Appreciate that, Eric.
To be honest with you, I don't really think Usman and Masvidal are that intriguing of personalities.
They're not. Thank you.
I do not think that's a very exciting season of Tough.
Say it again out loud for the people in the back.
Colby Covington is infinitely more interesting based on the kind of backstory and the fact that they fought and it was close, and those are the true 1 and 2 guys. So
100%.
I don't see Masvidal as like the kind of coaching mentor type. So I don't know. I have a hard time wrapping my head around that and getting super excited. And Usman's a soft-spoken guy. I think it's going to be a lot of these guys just kind of whispering, back and forth, trash talking, and it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of weird.
Usman Masvidal too. It does nothing for me. It makes no sense to me. I think as Tough coaches, you nailed it, frankly. I think that they're not intriguing personalities to match up with each other at all. I'm even trying to picture their trash talk. I just feel like what are they even going to say to each other? Usman's going to be like, just like last time. Masvidal's going to be like, yeah, we'll see. I take your head. Like, okay, great. That's literally all.
The baptism, blah, blah,
right,
blah.
The baptism. Last time I took your nose, this time I take your head.
Yeah,
okay,
it'll just be, it'll just be, you know everything you're getting with those guys.
Like, that's so boring. I'm so bored already.
Like, at least with Usman and Colby, like, I'd believe that with them crossing paths, there would be some general friction, and they may even just get in each other's face and not, they genuinely don't like each other.
Well, that's because Covington, and at least with Colby, whatever. I was just about to diss Masvidal, but yeah, at least Colby's like, he's a guy, he believes what he believes, whether you agree with it or not, he's that person. Masvidal is just going to say whatever he needs to say for whoever's paying for that next Coke bump at the strip club.
You're getting out of hand now. All right, let's keep it moving. We got one from Derek Coker. I like this one. Let's see what you have to say. He says, hashtag AskSplitPod. What advice would you give to someone wanting to start an MMA podcast? You got any thoughts?
Yeah, what an awesome question. And
thank you for asking us. It makes me feel like
thank you for asking us.
Humbled.
Yeah, exactly. Very humbled. Fight Geek, why don't you start us off?
The only thing I would say, Derek, is just keep doing it. Once you start, don't stop. There's going to be people that like what you do. There's going to be people that don't like what you do. There's going to be days you want to do it, and there's going to be days you don't want to do it. The goal is just to keep moving forward, keep doing what your original vision was, and be true to that, and just take it until the wheels fall off. That's kind of my advice.
Yeah, I totally agree. Derek, the best thing to do is just to have, a little bit like what Fight Geek said, have a unique vision for how you're going to be, I know that have a vision for how you think, at least, that you're going to offer something different, something new, and then stick with it. If everyone is telling you that the podcast is lukewarm good or good but not great, stop everything, cancel it. You're doing everything wrong. You need to be getting great compliments and great insults, or you're doing something horribly wrong.
Yeah, that's true. You want people on that are either hot or cold on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and listen to both.
Yep.
But not too much.
Yep. Agreed.
Let's see what else we got here. I think that actually does it for tonight. Or no, sorry, we got one from...
Wait, we've got Zan Bando. Zan Bando? Did we assist?
Oh, yeah. Did you ask Zan? Sorry,
yeah, okay. What's up, Zan? #AskSplitPod. Hey, guys, hope you're doing well. Here's my question for the week. With Stefan Struve's recent retirement, what's your favorite memory from his UFC career, and how will he be remembered? For me personally, it was hard not to love him. So, Zan, first of all, I'll believe it after a year's gone by, because one thing Stefan Struve loves to do is retire and then take it back, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's what he's done. But I'll say his biggest memory is by far beating Stipe Miocic, right?
Is it bad that his biggest memory for me is Mark Hunt destroying his jaw?
Yeah, it is bad, because he'll be offended and say, "What about when I beat Stipe?"
Oh no, well, him beating Stipe is obviously one of his best accomplishments. But what is he most known for was what he asked, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, if you wanted to ask what he's most known for, and I hate to be like the guy who's kind of being a downer, but unfulfilled potential, I would say. When he came out, he had a lot of fights. He was super young. I think he's 6'10". He's the tallest fighter of all time. He had that long reach. The theme of Stefan Struve's career was that he never learned how to fight long. He's the tallest guy in UFC history. He never figured out how to use his length correctly. And I think that is probably, as a guy who's watched basically every single one of his UFC fights, that is what he'll be remembered for, what it could have been.
Yep. I think that's a harsh assessment, but also a fair one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, he's the one who gets to go sit down in his rocking chair someday and say that he beat Stipe Miocic. So, yeah. I mean, he had a great career, but when he was younger and kind of the hype he had, he was considered at one point to be a future champion of sorts. So, he never quite reached that level.
Yep, absolutely.
But he'll always be the skyscraper, the tallest dude to ever fight in the UFC. So, I mean, he'll be always remembered for that.
Yup, absolutely. No, I completely agree. I think Stefan had, he had a disappointing career, but he still had moments that are very fulfilling. Like you said, that he can look back on his rocking chair one day and talk about, like beating Stipe Miocic.
Yeah, which is more than a lot of us will have.
Yep.
So.
Okay, so is that everything? Have we answered everything?
No, it's not. We got more.
Oh,
so I got one from Greg Calloway.
Greg Calloway, what up? I feel like there's some new people. I love it.
Some new blood. Thanks for the question, Greg.
Yes,
he says, #AskSplitPod. Is Usman versus Khabib the super fight to make, and what are the chances of it happening? Go ahead with this one.
I think that Usman versus Khabib is not the super fight to make, to be honest. I know that might be unpopular to say. It does make sense from a fan standpoint of, Khabib going up and challenging himself. But I do know that the two are very close friends, have been for a while. I know that
aren't they both managed
They said they weren't.
Art,
they said
Art,
they would never fight several years ago, I believe.
Well, aren't they both managed by Ali?
Yes, they're 100%.
So there's no way they'll ever fight them.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Ali's had clients fight for titles before, plenty of times.
I think he'd have a hard time pitting Usman versus Khabib each other under his stable.
Especially because, view it from Ali's financial standpoint. There's no winning. He's
controlling both of those divisions, and he has to diminish one of his assets at the extent or at the hand of another asset, which just does not make sense from a business standpoint for him at all.
Yeah.
And like you said, Khabib and Usman clearly know each other because they share management. They probably aren't interested in that fight anyways.
Also, Khabib has made it pretty clear he really wants to be done. It's actually getting pretty ridiculous and inappropriate.
100%. And then there's one more from Riz MMA. He wants to piggyback.
Oh, I love Riz MMA. What up?
What up? He says, if Usman versus Khabib took place at 170, what would the betting odds look? This was interesting. Do you have thoughts here?
Yeah, I think. Oh, that's a great question, man.
I would think that Usman would be a slight betting favorite.
Who?
I think Usman would be the slight betting favorite at the beginning.
I don't. Oh man, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I ain't not sure. I'm not. I think it'd be extraordinarily tight. I'm almost thinking 115,
like
minus 115, minus 115 pick 'em.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like the opening lines would lead towards Usman just because he's the 170-pounder.
I know, but I feel like there'd be so many. There's so many people that love Khabib and have so much confidence. I feel like a lot of people would put some money down
true.
On him.
But that wouldn't be the opening line, and then the line would be affected. I'm talking about the opening line.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, maybe it would tighten later on, and Usman would start off as a big favorite. Yeah, that's fair.
All right. Well, I actually think that we stumbled to the end of this one, huh?
All right. I thought this was a great episode. I think everyone else had fun except for you, Fight Geek. But all right, with that,
I'm exasperated.
All right, with that, thank you so much, everyone, and Fight Geek, take it away.
All right, as usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil, the MMA dude. We are at Split_Podcast. It's 4 words, the Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Peace.